So yes, I am the creator of this video. Before we start the video, this is clearly opinion based, and look, I don't want to give shade to this guy. I mean, okay, I get it. He's a small content creator on TikTok that he's sort of, I don't know, at least trying to make a living out of it, while I'm here just trying to basically sort of pursue my dreams as well. And look, I don't mean any hate to him, but it's just sometimes I always find this sort of idea irritating, so that's why I'm making this video as of now. So I don't whoever's watching this video, or even the content creator who basically is featured in this video, just don't feel like as if you get bashed. This is my opinion, and maybe it sounded like as if I'm stating this as a fact. Yeah, just try not take this personally. All right, that's all I could say, and enjoy the video.
No, not you, Seamus.
Look, I may be a smaller content creator than the person who I come across on two separate occasions on two different platforms, and in both instances, I came across the same bullshit over and over again until it gets me to this end where I'm basically creating this video as of now. Also, even though I may get everyone coming after me with blowtorches, pitchforks, guns, aka America, or even trying to dox my home address and my sensitive info, I would like to have a moment for me to explain this bullshit. So, please, calm yourselves down and have a seat. We'll solve everything at this stage. Alright. Modern collecting, or even modern Hot Wheels collectors themselves, most of them I'd say, are just awful. Cringe-worthy. To put it bluntly, it's fucking bullshit these days due to the influx of licensed castings being milked to death to the point it doesn't feel as special as it was before. To be clear, it also happens to fantasy castings as well, although they did come out worse. In which I feel the pain of them. If they can't get both of them right, what in the car Jesus are we doing right now? Like, they pump out the same shit over and over again with barely any variety, to the point where it's just as if the company is trying to reach their quota for mindless consumers getting them, and thus reinforcing the stagnation and the whole mentality of if it ain't broke, don't fix it situation. Well, mentality. However, I still have a passion for this company since childhood, don't get me wrong though. But it's just a shame of how far they have fallen. From a company that sells to young adults where they can appreciate anything, even anything different, to some mindless adults who don't even know what the fuck do they even want from out of all the million cars they could have chosen during all these years. They only admire what is real, but sneer at the ones that try to make a difference amongst the millions of cars they produced. Most of the fantasy castings that we admired as a kid either retired or aged very poorly due to many factors, such as the color applications and... Have you seen the new graphics on the new Datsun 510? Oh wait, shit, it's the same thing over and over again. So what's the point, you ask me? Basically, just make a basic series of Datsun 510s with the same graphics, or at least different variations but with the same model, so that people would see how creatively bankrupt this fucking company has become. Hell, why cater a lot of licensed castings when you literally have hundreds of Hot Wheels originals designed that you can put in as any exclusives? I wonder why people cater to in real life bullshit and have this shitty mindset of fantasy trash, licensing good, in which both of them can go fuck themselves. In addition to that, I may be quite understanding of one thing. Most fantasy cars these days are shit. Ever since they fell from grace, aka since their inception until somewhat around 2014. To be fair, the Vancinator, the Mancini Veloce, and the El Segundo Coupe are some of the few decent fantasy cars these days, apart from all the garbage that Hot Wheels has juiced out in recent times. Whether it be mainline, whether it be car culture line, I don't care which line they just pump it out, but it's just overall, alright? However, there's one fatal flaw that these new modern collectors do not see for themselves yet. With this mindset of fantasies for kids and they all suck, they never ever saw how truly great fantasy castings or even licensed castings with great paint jobs were since their inception until the mid 2010s, in which they're in a downward spiral right now. It's a blend of basically realism and concept itself to the point where it kicks that feeling as if you long this cartoon for it to happen in real life. No shit, it actually does. Although some say nostalgia toxic, move on, fucking crybaby. No, 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 no. Let me give you a fucking point. Hot Wheels literally shaped my life to who I am right now. It was one of the few titans related to car media that I grew up with, and that I still hold a really passionate sentiment to this very day. I still love this company, okay? However, it is currently in a sad state where I feel like it's as if it's as far as I can go. To the point where enough is enough from the same bullshit that they pour out. Like, have you seen the new Skyline R31st? Oh wait, it's the same model with different colors over and over again. I mean, I get it. It's literally what the company does, but don't you just find it boring? It doesn't feel the same as if it was before. That's why I'd rather go back in time to the older days where they still show some love and that level of pride to do something different than any other toy car company. And they at least still have some level of imagination compared to who they are right now. That's what Hot Wheels are supposed to be, not Matchbox 2.0. Also, to this statement, I'd say, although I'll show you some castings that were basically one of the few amazing ones that I wish I had when I was a little kid, but now I'll just basically bring it over and I'll show you what I've got. Alright, sorry for the noise outside, although I will show you some good licensed castings that were made back in the day, although I only brought one of them actually, due to the fact that I am away. Well, obviously away for university studies, of course, but not for a vacation, so yeah. This is a Ferrari 333 SP. Sorry if the angle's a little bit odd, but try my best, so maybe I'll move back a little bit, but yeah. Much better. So, okay. As you can see, this licensed casting from Hot Wheels, of course it has the basic wheels. This is a sort of mainline back in the 2004 when I was 1 year old at that time. But it is really amazing. It looks really cool. Like, the graphics do age really well, even though like it's just, well, no sponsors, not even that realistic. But you know what? It still holds up well to the test of time, considering this casting is pretty old. It has been designed since 2000, I'd say. So yeah. So this is one of the older licensed castings I've bought, but it was way back in 2020 when I bought this. So, but mostly the fantasy castings do really have sharp details and everything like that. For example, the acceleracers, mainly this high voltage. Cool graphics, amazing ones of course. It shows what vibe do they truly emit off. It kind of gives that sort of underground JDM vibes as what the team has to say, which is Team Teku. And Racing Drone, aka the bad guys of the Acceleracers movies. So this is RD06, basically one of the villain cars in the series where they're basically like robot driven or AI driven, so that's that. And you can see how they crafted the detail in the engine bay right here. You can see this is like one of the sort of hydrogen turbines, let's just say. It's just well detailed and crafted. Now, I'm not saying that most newer cars are trash or anything, because although there are some good examples like this. Sorry for the camera shake, but yeah, and I get it, because background is quite blurry, because I just only want to focus on the car instead of basically the background. So yes, this is the Mercedes 300 or 400 SL, probably forgot. Yeah, it's a 300 SL, so dumb. But yeah, really cool graphics on this thing, and even though like maybe the premium ones I'd probably buy most of the time, and I know ID has been dead for a while, but back in 2022 when it was actually still around in my country, this was actually the shit, apparently. But yeah, I'm glad to actually buy this Bugatti Chiron. Maybe it's a little weird in terms of proportions, but it's not so bad. It just has a really cool detail to it, and cool wheels as well though. Just don't splash it to the water, they have a fucking chip in it. Still, I give some modern Hot Wheels some credit, because some of their paint job actually looks amazing, but in a way, yeah, some of them are kind of getting a little bit milked to death, which is quite sad, but yeah, that's all I could say. So, yeah, it's not the best of times the Hot Wheels have been through, but you know what? It's still okay to this day. Also, I'm gonna show you the quote-unquote worst drone car ever, but yeah, I kind of like this thing. Okay, it has grown on me, so yeah. RD03, silver, cool engine bay, but you know the fun fact about this thing is that it does have the designer's initials in the engine as well, and that's a really cool thing. I don't see how modern Hot Wheels would pull that off, or I don't know, execute it perfectly, unlike before. Because yeah, as you may have known that Hot Wheels do half-ass their models most of the time these days. I'm not saying before, but considering that before, now Hot Wheels do craft their models in a way that it looks brilliant. Although this has been weathered, but it's a really beautiful casting. I kind of like the pop-up logos though. They're fucking brilliant as well. So now, that's it from me. Time to give it to Sam, my Hot Wheels friend, or my collecting friend, let's just say.
Hi there, my name is Sam Garcia. I'm the one obviously helping Darren Halim with the video regarding basically why basically modern Hot Wheels are basically how they've basically really fallen off in recent years compared to basically from before. And well, I just wanted to basically take a little bit of this time from the video to basically explain to you just a few of my favorite kind of Hot Wheels, both fantasy and licensed. And, well, to just start things off, I wanted to start with a little well-known classic known as Showstopper. You might better know this as Seared Tuner, if you basically... But, yeah. And of course, yes, obviously, this is the one from Velocity X, the video game, for all of you OG fans out there. And, what I kind of sort of really like about Showstopper was that it kind of has, you know, very much, obviously, the JDM vibe to it. Obviously, it's kind of like a mixture between a Toyota Celica GTS and an S15 Sylvia. Especially, like, you know, the fun little spoiler here, the little racing stripe there, obviously the little carbon hood with the little scoop there. Especially the little, like, 3SP wheels. That's just, for me, that's just like a really, really nice detail. And the little, like, cut piece there with the carbon. What I really like is that it doesn't have to, like, try way too hard to just be, like, a JDM. Like, it doesn't take much. Like, you can just simply put a little, like, nice color, a nice old carbon hood, a small stripe, and just go from there. Like, it's very much like the JDM, but it doesn't have to try way too hard, like most of these castings do with their really, like, bad graphics or just really terrible color schemes. And the other fantasy casting I wanted to talk about was an old classic. Here it is. The Solaire CX-4. And yes, obviously this is the Birdhouse variant from Tony Hawk. Also in Velocity X, but just minus the Birdhouse sponsorship for licensing reasons. And what I really like is that it kind of really takes, like, that whole, like, early mid-80s Group C prototype sort of vibe and manages to make it into like a Hot Wheels. And once again, it's like very minimalist paint job. It's just simply white with the sides of black with the little birdhouse logo there. And again, more 3SP wheels. Very nice. Nice. So it's like, once again, you can take like a prototype Jaguar or Group C race car, and you can turn it into a fantasy casting. Like, you don't have to necessarily like go way too outside the box with your fantasy castings. Things, i.e. having food items, all things. And to prove just like, you know, how better her graphics were, here is also my Team Hot Wheels variant of the Solaris CX-4, the one that came in a 1995 racing package. It's like, you know, the metallic blue, there's the Hot Wheels logo, the... Wait, no. Apologize if the quality is not too great, but there it is. Now, before you go and think of me as like, oh, he's just some fantasy lover, like, oh, he doesn't know anything about a license, even though license is basically what drives Hot Wheels nowadays. First of all, I would like to point out that I'm not really a fantasy purist, and nor am I a licensed purist. I seriously think this whole argument between fantasy and licensed, it's completely redundant. Because one unlicensed car I'd like to talk also about is, yes, you're seeing it right here, the 1993 Chrysler Thunderbolt, specifically the Highway 35 variant, driven by Fluke. Now, in terms of like licensing cast, this is probably maybe like the most favorite one of the Wave Rippers, because I don't know, I guess I just sort of like the whole like long chassis, kind of like the submarine type of aesthetic. Like you got the black top here that would basically make it like almost like a Targa top of sort. The purple coloring, even though on the comic it's kind of painted like this indigo blue, but quite frankly I think the purple just really suits it nice and such. And for my final one, the 1991 Lumina stock car, or Chevy Stalker if you prefer. Now, for me, as someone who basically grew up watching motorsports, but before F1 or FIA, like, or WeatherTech sports car, NASCAR was basically my childhood, just almost like anyone else would. But then, as someone, of course, who didn't grow up in the early 90s watching with the Lumina, I have to say, again, you don't really need to try too hard when it comes to your stock cars. You can just simply get the point across but without having to go too over the top. So, yeah, that was basically my contribution, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video, as we pretty much tend to make very good points, and cheerio!
The point is, we all love collecting any variety. I don't care if it's licensed or fantasy, but both of them are appreciated to me, alright? But don't ever bash what it once was before who they are today. It's like judging a book by its cover, as the old cliche saying goes. Don't ever judge a book by its cover. But it is a fact, and a valid statement that the fandom should accept. For those of you who can't, go fuck yourselves. You don't deserve to be here or any part of this community. Even though this is my opinion, I don't know if anyone would be aware to basically spread it, but oh well. This is how I truly feel about the modern state of Hot Wheels, or even its community as a whole itself. Special shout out to Sam Garcia Project 101 for helping me making this video. He's a really cool guy. He knows a lot of things about Hot Wheels, and even there's a fucking chat for basically collecting almost all the Highway 35, well actually all of the Highway 35 cars, so he's a good friend, I'll tell you that. Until then, I'll see you later. Ciao.